Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. And if you're new here, welcome for the first time. And today I'm going to be counting my July pile of possibility reads. Stay tuned. Okay everyone, even though it's the 4th or 5th of July now, it's better late than never. So I'm going to talk about all the books that I might possibly read this month. I'm no longer going to do just your normal TBR, because I don't always stick to it, and I don't always get to it, like last month. But I would like you, when I talk about these books, to leave a comment down below, so maybe I can prioritize some of them over the others. So I'd like to know what you've read, what you've enjoyed. So please let me know. And this video is also going to be in kind of 3 parts. First of all, I'm going to talk about 2 reading events that I'm going to be involved in, or at least dip my toes in. And then we're going to talk about some big physical books that I want to get to possibly. And finally, some short novellas and short stories that I'd like to get to as well. That I spoke about during my Kindle haul. And that a lot of you actually responded and said that they were really good. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so firstly, a little while back, Greg from another Bibliophile Reads created an event. And he named it, he named the video 70's Horror Novel Project. And I'm going to be one of the co-hosts, and there's a whole list that I'll link down below. And what actually happens is that every single month leading up to January next year, we're going to read a 70's horror book, and we're going to do it in publication order. And the first book that we're going to read is the one that I chose, and that is Burnt Offerings by Robert Makassar. Is it Morocco or Morocco? Not so sure, it's up there. But anyway, this is about a couple who are basically, they want to take a vacation, and they rent out this huge old house. And things go very wrong for them because the mother's staying there and they have to feed the mother, and the mother's never left her room. And yeah, apparently things become a bit of a nightmare. So I'm looking forward to that. That is Burnt Offerings. Okay, the second event that I'm dipping my toes into, I'm not going full out. I just don't do that. I struggle to cope with that anymore. And that is Rocket Summer. And this was created by Michael K. Vaughan, where you're going to read classic science fiction. And I've got a whole lot of possibilities here. If you watch his videos, or anyone else that announces it, every week you read a classic sci-fi novel through different decades. I think it's 1930s, 1940s, I'm not sure. But I'm just going to read classic science fiction. And I'm going to start with, up here, The Invisible Man, and that is by H.G. Wells. And that's about a scientist who creates a serum to make himself invisible. Actually what happens is that it starts off as a descent into madness, and so things don't work out as planned. I'm looking forward to this, should be fun. Okay, and some other science fiction stuff, vintage stuff that I've got on my shelf that I might dip into this month. First of all, we got Day of the Beast by John Miller. That sounds like a lot of fun. It says here, they knew that radiation could cause mutants. There were other things about which they knew nothing. Yeah, so it sort of sounds like some kind of war between insects or creatures and mankind. I'm not sure, but it looks a lot of fun, and you've got to love this cover. Okay, the second one is Fiends. I've shown this off as well. Nice vintage cover. And yeah, in this case it's giant ants. The incredible aliens were everywhere, watching and waiting. A world invaded by giant ants. So yeah, this sort of looks like a lot of fun. I'm probably not going to get to all of these, but just they're there, in case I feel like it. And then we got a collection, fantasy and science fiction. And I want to read some of these authors at the back, because yeah, there's some good stuff here. Hang on a second. Okay, so we got Ursula Le Guin, Isaac Asimov, J.R. Tolkien, Poppy Z. Bright. What else have we got here? Neil Gaiman, James Herbert. We've got all sorts of horror, fantasy, science fiction writers. So yeah, I might well dip into this. This looks like fun. Okay, next up we got 3 physical books that I'm dying to get to. They're all quite big, so if I don't get to them all this month, I definitely want to get to them in future. But this is top priority for me, and that is The Ritual by Adam Neville. Now, I don't know if you know Michael Wurtenberg's channel, but he loves this author, and I've been meaning to read him for a while now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into this. And very briefly, let me just read the back. When 4 old university friends set off into the Scandinavian wilderness of the Arctic Circle, they aim to briefly escape the problems of their lives and reconnect with one another. But when Luke, the only man still single and living a precarious existence, finds he has little left in common with his friends, tensions rise. With limited fitness and experience between them, a shortcut meant to ease their hike turns into a nightmare scenario that could cost them their lives. Lost, hungry and surrounded by forest, untouched for millennia, Luke figures things couldn't possibly get any worse. But then they stumble across an old habitation. Ancient artifacts decorate the walls, and there are bones scattered upon the dry floors. The residue of old rites and pagan rituals and sacrifice for something that still exists in the forest. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, I've heard very, very good things about this author from my friend Michael. I'm going to link his channel down below. So I'm looking forward to this read, and that is The Ritual. Okay, next up I'm going to continue my journey with Stephen King, and we've got Lacey's Story. Now this is an interesting one because I know that fans either love it or hate it, but Stephen King claims it's the best thing that he's ever written. So that's kind of intriguing. But it's about a widow. She's lost her husband, who happened to be a best-selling author. And it's about kind of the very close link between imagination and madness, and obviously love and loss. And it sounds very interesting. It seems like it's very well written, but I'll have to decide for myself. Every marriage has 2 hearts, one light and one dark. So yeah, that's Stephen King, Lacey's Story. Okay, and finally we got The Fireman by Joe Hill. This was on my TBR for June, and it's just so bloody long, I just didn't get to it. And yeah, I've been struggling with my reading a little bit this month as well, and last month it hasn't been easy. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to make it this time, but I definitely want to get to it later on in the year. It's a post-apocalyptic kind of horror about these people that sort of spontaneously combust. They get this sort of virus or disease, and the fireman has to come to the rescue. So it's the survivors of this apocalypse, and yeah, it sounds very, very interesting, but it's just, as I say, it's just so long. I don't think I'm going to get to it this month. Not in the mood that I'm in right now. Not feeling great, so we'll have to wait until next time. Okay, next up we got 5 shorter novellas and short stories that I got on my... Where's my girl? that I got on my Kindle haul. So yeah, I'll probably definitely get to these. I think the best thing when you're struggling with reading, when you're struggling with life a little bit, is to read shorter stuff. As soon as you start tackling these huge books, you might find it really difficult and get yourself into a slump. So these are 5 that after my video haul, subscribers commented and said these are specifically really good ones. So I've picked them out for this month. And first of all, we got Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. Now this is apparently about a boy. I'm just going to read what I said here on Goodreads quickly. A boy walks through his house at night and thinks he sees his father's ghost. He follows him and discovers the house is bigger and deeper than he knows. He discovers bad things about the house, and in an attempt to map out the surroundings of his house, he puts his brother and his family in terrible danger. So it sounds like something really different and unique and interesting, and it'll be the first thing I've read by Stephen Graham Jones, and I've heard great things about the author, so I'm looking forward to it. Okay, next up we have Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. I'm going to read this as well, people. How far would you go to bring back someone you love? This gives off serious Pet Sematary vibes, which I love, and it's really kind of quite creepy. This mother loses her child in a terrible car crash, and she's obviously overcome with grief and is struggling to cope. And then one day everything changes when she pricks her finger, and a drop of blood lands on the roadside memorial next to where the car crash happened. And that night, outside the window, she thinks she sees his ghost. Or could it be something evil, something else? So yeah, it sounds very creepy. And what's she going to do? Because she seems determined to see her son alive once more. Okay, so I cannot let a month go by without reading one of my new favourite authors of all time, Chad Lutzke, the master of coming of age, absolute master. And this is called The Pale White. And it's about 3 girls are held against their will in a house used for sex trafficking. They plan their escape. There's 3 girls. One is called Alex, and she's a hardened gothic rocker or punk who thinks she's a vampire. The other girl, Stacia, has been raised by an alcoholic mother, so the friends that she has, the only family that she's ever known. And then the youngest is Cammy, and she's a mute who finds solace in a houseplant. And so yeah, they try to escape, but is freedom everything it's cracked up to be, or do their scars run too deep? So yeah, I love this author. I love how he writes about kids and children and trauma and the whole coming of age thing. He takes that and all of his books, even though a lot of them are coming of age, he just creates such interesting scenarios and original ideas about them. Yeah, I absolutely love this author, so I'm going to read one a month by him. That is The Pale White by Chad Lutzke. Okay, next up we got a short story called Feral by Gemma Moore. Now this author came on my radar because of another booktuber, Jason from Jason's Weird Reads. Really loves this author. And there's a couple of others that I've seen as well. I talk about Gemma Moore. And this is a short story. And all it says on Goodreads is, "Meet Margot. She's had enough." So all I can think is that it's going to get kind of primitive. But yeah, I love the cover. I'm intrigued by this author. If I enjoy this, I'll track something else down. So that is Feral by Gemma Moore. Okay, and the final short story that I want to read for the month is The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Now this is about a small town. It takes place in a small American town. It takes place every year. It's an annual event where every family has to take part in this lottery. I have no idea what it's about, but no one wants to win. So yeah, I think this story is kind of quite famous or infamous. It's got quite an ending, and I'm looking forward to it. Once again, it's not too long. So maybe if I'm struggling through Lisi's story, I can pick some of these up at the same time and it'll just help my reading along a little bit. Because I have been struggling a bit, people. So yeah, but that's okay. Okay everyone, so that's my video for today. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know which of those books you've read so that I can prioritize and what do you think I would enjoy. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. And yeah, until next time, take care of yourselves, keep those pages turning, and cheers.